the Supreme Court has left it to the discretion of the state in allowing for the Rath Yatra to take place. The Supreme Court has said that the states are free to assess the situation. If need be, the states can take steps to restrict festivities. Remember, the Supreme Court, while hearing the plea, allowed for the Rath Yatra to take place without public participation. My colleague Vaidyanathan has been tracking the details of the story. He's joining us on the broadcast with more information. Vaidyanathan, what more can you tell us?
So everyone is waiting whether the Rath Yatra will happen tomorrow or not. Yes, it will happen. But what is the Supreme Court order? Supreme Court says it's neither prohibiting nor allowing, but is leaving it to the states, to the Odisha government to coordinate with the central government on allowing the Yatra. So mind you, both the centre as well as the Odisha government in the morning told the court saying that they want the Yatra to continue. It has been going for immoral time and it affects crores of faith of crores of devotees. They said they can take care of the health conditions and others. There can be one-day curfew on the day of Yatra and it can be telecast live. Even some other petitioners who appeared for the Devotees Association also told the court they can watch it on live TV. So finally, a three-judge bench headed by the Chief Justice of India, who is now at Nagpur, conducted this hearing through video conferencing. He passed the order, but interestingly, when he passed the order, the mic was on mute. Only last few sentences we can hear. So we'll have to wait for the final detailed order. What are the conditions?
While we wait for those final details, Kalikesh Singh Deo is also joining us on the broadcast. Thank you for speaking with us. Your first reaction to what the Supreme Court has said.
I'm glad that a centuries-old tradition is being upheld. There was a lot of concern regarding this Rath Yatra not being able to be held. And it, I think, hurt a lot of people's sentiments. Of course, we have to keep in mind that there is a huge pandemic which is on, and any such congregation could have drastic impact on the impact of corona on people. So I think this is a fine balance. I think the government of Odisha has committed to undertaking this in consultation with the centre and making sure there's no congregation so that people are not subject to exposure from corona. I think this is the best compromise which could have been arrived at this point of time.
All right, because the Supreme Court, earlier had in fact expressed reservations. The centre told the top court that the annual, Rath Yatra can then be held without public participation, in keeping, of course, the COVID-19 pandemic, in view. But what's your take? How can the Rath Yatra be actually held without public participation? Clearly, a lot of awareness will have to be, done. A lot of restrictions will have to be put in place in order to prevent public participation.
You're absolutely right, because normally in a Rath Yatra in Odisha and the city of Puri, almost 1.5 to 2 million people actually arrive there to attend the function and participate in it. Now, of course, none of that will be there. But even pulling the Raths and even participating in the pujas and the duty of the servitors of the Puri temple, I think there needs to be a lot of concern and a lot of effort put in to ensure that safe distancing, safety norms are maintained, that people are not exposed to the corona pandemic in any manner. And yet the Rath Yatra happens in the correct traditions as it's supposed to.
The Supreme Court has left it to the Odisha government on allowing for the Rath Yatra to take place. What are some of the kind of restrictions that one can anticipate? Will it be, a restricted number of people? How many people, will be permitted? What's the take of the state?
I think the entire idea will be to do this entire tradition and ritual with just as many people as necessary and no more. Of course, the larger public will not and cannot be a part of this entire ritual any longer for this current year at least. But I think it's best left to the management committee of the temple as well as the government to ensure that this is done in a safe and hygienic environment, and yet the rituals are completed.
All right, Kalikesh Singh Deo, appreciate you joining us with the details of that story. Just to put it in perspective for our viewers, the Rath Yatra festival lasts for about 10 to 12 days and involves a procession of chariots, like you can see on your screens, containing deities of the Lord Jagannath. This takes place in Puri, in Odisha. The crowds pulling the chariot often are very close to each other, thereby maintaining social distancing norms during the coronavirus pandemic is going to be a huge challenge for the government. Where they are still with us on the broadcast, whether you heard what Kalikesh Singh Deo said, that it's going to be a challenge, of course, for this Rath Yatra to take place without public participation. Has the court specified anything on the number of people who are allowed to attend, etc., or has it been left entirely to the discretion of the state?
See, it has been left entirely to the state. Of course, what are the detailed order conditions? We'll have to wait for the detailed order. But what I have been told just now, so Odisha CM Naveen Patnaik will chair a meeting on Rath Yatra preparatory meeting at 5 p.m. today at Bhubaneswar. So basically, they would be laying out conditions, what to do, whether how many people serve. Basically, the guest who spoke, he was saying about surveys who would be there. I mean, the central government as well as the Odisha government was saying that the people who have been there almost more than a month in separation, all they have tested negative, and these people will be pulling the rug. That's what both the Odisha government as well as central government told the court.
Right. And Vaidyanathan, just to put it in perspective, the court had in fact expressed reservations earlier. The court had in fact last Thursday stayed the annual event.
Exactly. See, the same bench, Justices Sharad Arvind Bopde, Justice Maheshwari and Bopanna, all the same bench which passed order today. On 18, they said that due to pandemic, we are staying the yatra. If we allow, even Lord Jagannath will not forgive us. These are the words of the Chief Justice of India. But now, after the center, state government, a lot of around 24 petitions have been filed, including from a 19-year-old Muslim boy from Odisha. They said that if the yatra doesn't roll out tomorrow, for the next 12 years, it can't roll out as per the ritual. So they said it's going on from 17th or 16th century. Why to stop it? So based on all these things, now Supreme Court left it to the state government. But what are the conditions? You are right, and we'll have to wait for the detailed order, because through this video conference when the Chief Justice was dictating, the orders might went on mute, maybe deliberately. So he said that the other two judges will consult and the orders will be uploaded soon.
All right.